What's up, everybody? Derek Johnson here. I'm just going to go live just for a short moment here, just to clear up a few things out there, because we just seem to just can't get this over to certain people, and I don't know how we're going to do it and what the deal is. But there's a huge difference between intellectual property and public information. All right, so there's a razor thin line there on what is your responsibility, what's your duty as an American, versus making it look like you're somebody who discovered something, and or people out there that see your posts and they see your posts and comments and they think, wow, how'd this person know this, and da 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 da. It's dangerous for many levels. One, that person could take intellectual property, make it look like theirs, make it look like a discovery and or an operator, and then all they got to do is regurgitate it just the correct way, and they're what? Have a sly tone, just like many have done in Congress for many years. All right, many senior leaders took younger leaders' information and they made it look like theirs, an idea, all right, which is called intellectual property. All right, there is a specific blueprint for that. And there's laws around that. So when you have someone out there who can memorize, especially getting on a video, making it look and sound like they came up with that, or there's somebody, but especially when they're a civilian and they're not military, not retired military, or any sort of veteran whatsoever, those kind of people deceive you, trick you. They're the ones who say all the right things. They run for office somewhere. They sound great. They may look great. They may deliver great. But guess what they didn't do? They're not the originator. They're not the creator. They can't strategically think, critically think, analytically think, creatively think, convergently think, divergently think on the front. Therefore, guess what they also cannot do? They can't endorse the right people, nominate the correct people, and hire the correct people. That is how you ended up with the swamp. That's how you ended up with all these politicians who are shit for brains, low IQ, incompetent, because you people, you just see whatever because you got the internet now. And guys like me are trying to say, this is the discernment you must learn. We're not leaving technology. Technology is going to be there. So it's good when it's good, but boy, when it's bad, it's ugly, because we have thieves out there. Their intent and their motives are not for you. So the difference in intellectual property versus public information. Let's go with public information first, because that's where some of the weave and the wove comes in. President Trump I like to call it the weave, right? That's why someone like me, I wove everything together for you. And once there's a blueprint, especially as big as mine and as long as mine, everything like that. Mine is a massive blueprint that covers all the way back from 2015 to present day and still moving. And mine actually can show you what's on out to 2029, because I already know the laws and the order strategically, but I also have a key role in this. Now, I'm a low man on the totem pole. I'm not up here with President Trump. I've been around him, been with him, signed my contract to write these books 43 days before he put the dash on his ball cap. But there's some of us who have been, one, godly put here, divinely put here first. That's the first and foremost. But then strategically put here. And so many people, especially people who still follow me, you think I'm some little schmuck, young guy, got lucky, has a brain, can remember a lot of things. You still think that. That's not the case. This is a very strategic, outlined, pre-planned, which is strategic operation. Which means that the people on the front, we all knew them at some capacity. I know a lot of the people way over here, well, let's do it this way, way back here, long before 2015, long before President Trump rolled down the escalator, I know people involved in this. And everybody comes together, yes, it's like a spoke on a wheel. The wheel can't roll without a rim. without something that's holding that wheel together in all places. But so many people are trying to mislead you, and they're regurgitating, they're mainly butchering everything, which is what gets me all in a frizzy here, because they're taking the very things they never even knew about to begin with. They're civilians too, so they definitely didn't know about it. But then they're butchering and twisting, which also shows that their intent and their motives are not for you. Everything that I have been put here for under oath and doing, everything that you can click on, look at all the information I provide to you daily, weekly, monthly, and now yearly. That's all off of my blood, sweat, and tears. I write all this stuff down. I mean, I have notebooks and pages and pages and pages and pages. Now, this wouldn't, in today's world, wouldn't prove the date of it, but I have it on emails. All the way back yonder. I have it in papers. It's on documents, on Google Drives, dated, time-stamped. And 99.9999% of these people, they just came about 23, 24, 25. Guess what was already there? And here's the other thing. There was a few people on telegrams and things like that maybe had one little law or two little laws here, but they didn't break. If someone would have broken it down like me, guess what there wouldn't be? Me. You wouldn't have needed me. The plan wouldn't have needed me if there already had been in me. But guess what was never before me? No one who laid out the whole blueprint. They threw crumbs. They might know one law here, one order here. They didn't give you the full blueprint because they didn't know the full blueprint because they're not in operations. And someone like me, now we won't ever get back to this, but let's just say for some crazy reason there was a catastrophic event, real crazy. Guess who's going back? All of us veterans, not these people. So chances are, straight out the gate already, they're not an originator, period, because they're not even military. Now, you don't have to be military or veteran to comprehend what's going on, but there's a difference in comprehending what's going on versus making it look like the people that you're somebody that someone needs to listen to, when most of the stuff they're butchering. They're not even correct on it. And when there's a solid blueprint in place, a #1 bestseller signed at Trump International with President Trump present, 43 days before the dash was put on his ball cap, by me, retired veteran, that outlines everything to a detail where no one will have to fumble, no one will have to fear. Everyone who reads, studies, and comprehends can walk away going, oh my gosh, this is awesome. No fear, no stress, no anxiety. When there are people out there trying to take my work, hard-earned work, hard blood, sweat, and tears, and everything else that's gone into it, and my colleagues out there, because I'm not just doing this, this is all, I speak for a lot of people that are not on this screen. And especially when I give credit where it's due. I don't have to share a lot of work because my work is the blueprint, but when I do have to share people, guess who gets credit? The person who thought of it. You cannot drain the swamp by replicating it. And anyone out there who you see, especially once you've read or studied or seen anything on my pages, if someone else is out there doing that and trying to act like a creator, and they're sitting there telling you this, that, and they're not giving credit where it's due, that's plagiarism, for one. That's theft of intellectual property. And it's also, from a civilian side, they're taking away from all of us veterans. And you patriots wonder why more veterans aren't more vocal and more visual and have platforms? Because they hate hypocrisy. You could be sitting here saying, hey, I'm the one that established that. Or you could have someone over there saying, hey, that guy right there, he's the originator. That guy right there is the colonel. That's the general. That's the so-and-so. That's that. And you'll still have people go follow some schmuck over here who has nothing to do with it, and there's the originator sitting right over there. And those people, you follow their schmuck. Do you know what that replicates? Go on and drink the Kool-Aid, fools. Go on and drink the Kool-Aid. You all demand, you all in that category, not you patriots, but you all in that category, you demand change, you demand things to be cleaned out, you demand justice, but you're following the same people who create the corruption. So intellectual property is kind of like this. One, I write all my thoughts down right here. My way of weaving it. Well, there's a blueprint now that I created. And because the blueprint covers so much material, and it's from the beginning to what's going to be the end, which is highly and heavily special operations, all right, which is what that ball cap is back here, which you cannot purchase anywhere. All right, it's also what this bag is right here that you can't purchase anywhere. All right, things like that. You either have to be special operations in, active duty, National Guard, reserves, etc., or you can be recruited externally from other special operators. And a lot of you veterans out there, hey, if you got the mind, the thought process, you deserve it because you may have been some capacity, yada, 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 MOS, etc., and you may think, just like I think, in your own way, strategically, critically, analytically, convergently, divergently, all the different levels of thinking. You may be that person, will display that, and they may come calling for you. Or you may get an opportunity by an operator, or yada, yada, yada. All right? But right now you probably missed the window a little bit for what's going on, but not really for what's coming. All right? So it's very key that everybody learns this. This is the law, first off. And why would you want some civilian stealing from a retired veteran? Why would you want that? Is that integrity whatsoever? Is that what you call integrity? If it is, leave my page right now. Please do. Please, I welcome you to unfollow. Leave. Because you add to the equation of the reason why we're in this military operation. You're the undesirability that the Law War Manual talks about. You're the undesirability. You're the one that's a pain to your family and friends. And all we're trying to do is say, look, there's a life to live and let live, to not do this and not do that, to have the clean out government small, operating like this. There's a way to live and let live. There's a way to be happy, content. So you have things out there where you get a soldier. For example, there's a soldier who was in uniform not long ago telling people that, oh, this administration's violating this, that, and other. You cannot sit there and claim that anyone's violating a law while you're sitting there violating one yourself. And regulations. Department of War regulations and Army regulations, which this person just so happened to have been in the comment boxes, when I go on there to comment, I'll take time to go comment on something like that, especially a soldier violating everything. In the comments, well, the information has to get out. People, if this guy is claiming that this is unlawful and this quote-unquote information, you don't sit in a uniform as an active duty, National Guard, or Reserve and sit there and tell how the law's being broken while you're sitting there breaking every regulation on the man with the Department of War and Army regulation for what you cannot attach your name and uniform to with politics. How did we get this stupid in America? How? President Trump signs executive orders all the time for intellectual property. So how can you claim to be a President Trump supporter and then turn around and break the very thing that you claim you're standing for or against, depending on the topic and the subject? So when there's a #1 best-selling book, ladies and gentlemen, especially the timeline and where it was signed and all the intricate details of that, you can't get any better than that. Me sitting there with timestamps, proof with my friends there. Not every friend and family that I wanted to be there, but it's the occasion of what it was. We're at Trump International, February the 18th, 2023. 43 days before April the 2nd, 2023. I signed the contract to write these books right here. Part 1, Part 2. They're #1 bestsellers. And I don't know how many, it's up there. It's thousands and, I don't even know how many. It's way up there. All over the world. And it's growing in Australia and Canada. When you have intellectual property of the whole blueprint of every single law and order, the order is just the enforcement portion, but the laws and then the warfare, irregular warfare, unconventional warfare, asymmetrical warfare, guerrilla warfare, all integrated. It's that integration specialty, that's the intellectual property. So when you take, someone like me can take hybrid warfare, which is hybrid warfare, so guerrilla warfare, asymmetrical, and irregular, and go, all right, well, here's a piece here, 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 and here, and here's what they did here, and it's that. That's intellectual property. Because the news is not doing that. President Trump's not doing that for you. I'm doing that for you. That is intellectual property. So when you have some schmuck who's on a video out there, and he's sitting there talking about presidential emergency action documents being activated, first off, that's not even the correct terminology. And two, that didn't just recently happen. A presidential emergency action document is pre-drafted, meaning they're pre-signed, meaning that they're strategic, meaning we're going to sign all these right now because we know what's coming. That happened way a long time ago. So that also shows you that this person has no idea what's going on, but then they're getting high amounts of views, and people in the comment boxes are going, I've never heard of this. What is that? What are PEDS? What are they? When there's already a blueprint via a retired veteran with a specific badge. I have all my credentials, press credentials, media, military, everything with the Department of War. And then also been recruited in another manner, which is why I'm sitting with so many unique colonels on screen and different people as a retired veteran. So public information is kind of like this right here. This book right here is public information, military law, and precedents, and military government martial law. These are all public. See how thick they are, and they're a lot of words in here. Little bitty font, little tiny font. These are your foundational principles, though, of a military government. Martial law. Who can you, how the arrests happen. The different kinds of jurisdictions, of military jurisdiction, the different kinds of martial law. Those are all foundational principles. Those are all founded. Now, 99% of Americans don't even know this. This is why so many podcasters and influencers look atrocious, period. Because they don't know any bit of any of this. This is just a little bit. The Law War Manuals, 1,254 pages. Directives and instruction manuals from the Department of War. Those can be anywhere from a page to 30, 40, 50 pages. Executive orders, a little shorter, things like. I have read so much stuff and studied my whole life. And being military. And all my family lineage, who are all military. I'm a son of the Revolution and a son of the Confederacy. Every bit of my family, and Native American. All my family members have fought in this nation for years, obviously. Native American, son of the Revolution. So that tells you how long my family has been connoisseurs of what you're supposed to know. And so it's more the fact that it's not that, someone out there could say, well, at least someone's trying. No, they're not. Most of these people are either in uniform, breaking law, and they claim to be a best-selling author and all these other things. If they were a best-selling author, they'd know a lot more on what is intellectual property and what isn't, and making sure someone else hasn't said that out there. So when you go with that attitude of, they're at least, no, they're not trying. That's not trying. This is a serious matter. This is a military operation. People's lives are at stake every single day, even in your regular, like helicopters and aircraft, the aircraft we lost. You know, you heard about the crash. Those are my brothers and sisters in arms. As a retired veteran, I'm still under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which means I can be tried in a military court. It matters. Also, when I die, not these other schmucks out there, when I die, I get to go to a memorial grave. They don't. As a matter of fact, my will reads Arlington if I'm still single at the time of my death. You might want to go check out the qualifications of Arlington, the eligibility. All right? So it matters. It matters because you, a civilian, and me, in my position, when someone's blatantly and or inconspicuously misleading you, whether they know they are or not, it still doesn't matter. There's a book with a blueprint. And if you can't afford that book, guess what? It's all over my platforms for no cost, which is how they're stealing this information. And they're trying to make it look like theirs. That's the danger in not having subscriptions and things of that nature, because of these thieves and crooks out there who make it look like theirs, and their intent and motives are not for you. They are trying to sell something. They have some GoFundMe page or buy me a coffee or all these things. They want you somehow. Where's mine? I don't have those. That's the danger in where we are. Public information is public information. The laws, the executive orders, your proclamations, your treaties, your other documents like the national security memorandums, all different memorandums of understanding, and all those are public. But before I came along, most people weren't even talking about those like this. You know why? Because it wasn't cool to talk about it. President Trump's the face, and then you needed someone in here to say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's the chronological order. Here's the blueprint. And when I came on board, August 24, 2022, when they launched me out there, I didn't throw any crumbs. I still do to this day. Chronological order, blueprint. You can know the whole blueprint if you read, study. But it ticks people like me off to see people blatantly and even inconspicuously misleading you, because you don't have to have that. Everything that I talk about are to the T with visual validations daily. President Trump does things that shows you, one, I've already been around him, I've got the thumbs up, so there's that. But then also there's things that he and I have a specific language. We have a specific way we talk. We have a specific verbiage, whatever you want to call it. We have a very specific delivery process. I use terms and analogies people have never even heard of. For example, one that is unique to me, that President Trump used, that no one else has ever said but me. Back February 14th, President Trump put a meme up for Valentine's Day as a humorous thing. And way back during your quote-unquote borders, right, which wasn't going on like that, but for the people that they played this to, the quote-unquote Texas border, the Del Rio border, right, I kept joking with people. I'm like, people, how did 2,000 dirt poor Haitians go across the Gulf of America, walk another 700 or 800 miles, maybe further, from the Mexican coast to Del Rio, Texas? I said, look, they bypassed all of Florida that they used to go to, Cuba, Haiti, etc. They just float to Florida, Key West. It's not a long float at all. So they said, the heck with that, the heck with Alabama, the heck with Mississippi, the heck with Louisiana, the heck with all this massive Texas coastline, the heck with that. Let's just float right on across all the waters, the wind systems, the rains, the waves, and everything. Oh, we can float straight line across and we can get it. And then we're going to walk another 1,000,000 miles across Mexico. to Del Rio, Texas. The heck with Brownsville. The heck with Laredo. Let's go to Del Rio. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, the closest land mass that is going to Del Rio, Texas, that they're displaying to you, I said the closest is 1,536 miles. What did President Trump share on February the 14th? A meme that said something, made a joke about all the illegals from 1,537 miles away. 1 mile off, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, people. And there's multiple other things. But I've already been there. I've already been around him in intimate, private settings at the golf course and at Mar-a-Lago, but especially the golf course. So when a guy like me sees people blatantly lying to you, blatantly misleading you, and you don't have to, then naturally, what is a true warrior supposed to do? What is a true soldier supposed to do? Fight for who? You. Because they're trying to mess with your minds. They're trying to deceive you somehow. They're selling something, or they want you over on their page for some other reason but what? The only thing I have is apparel, which you do not have to buy. It's not like I can make you buy a shirt that says Rattletrap 1776 or 1776 Nation or Dare Johnson Country or whatever. I can't make you. I wouldn't make you. And also, I can't make you buy the books. But you don't have to buy the books if you can't afford them. Which also cancels out all the idiots out there who claim stuff like grifter and they're just dragging this out. No. It's all on pages. It's all on my accounts. You have to piece it together. The book puts it in a chronological, but you have to piece it together from my pages. But every bit of what's in that book are right here. And what I'm writing right now, because there's going to be a finale, there's going to have to be a Midnight Rider Part 3 because there's a finale to it. But I'm tracking every bit of what President Trump's doing militarily, lawfully, strategically, critically, but I already know before it happens because that's the covert clandestine portion. That's the gift that God gave me with the strategic, critical, analytical thought process that weaves all this together for you. And it's an outright atrocity that we have people out there right now because they think technology and all these other things. And you can tell by the comments in the comment boxes. And people are so confused and they don't have to be confused. But that's where you, the people, also the patriots, you have to go in there and correct that as well. You have to stay diligent on this. That is the prevention method. That's how we prevent the swamp from growing back. That is the fight, by the way. This war that you think you're in, you're not in it. You're seeing it. And it's kind of like an umbrella over you, but you're not the participant in it. The military government, the military occupation, all of your irregular warfare, your continuity government, your government exile, and all the whole of government that's going on right now, we, the military, knew who the enemy is and were. Now, all that portion's gone, and you're seeing the rollout, but all that portion's gone. You didn't know those people. You know why you didn't know them? Because time shows that. That's why we had to have a military government by law. The undesirability. That's why you had to live through 21 to 25, the actual puppet shadow government portion and the government exile, because you didn't know how to take control of your rights, your responsibilities, and your duties. So there had to be an entity come in lawfully, military, as these books outline to you. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights were suspended during the military government lawfully. And guess what supports that? The Constitution. It don't say that the military government supports the Constitution. It says the Constitution supports the military government because we were first. But if you don't know that, you can think all kinds of things. So therefore you need a person like me and all my colleagues, especially those way up here that I've led people to, colonels, special operations, etc. We've been on with some, with a general, all right? And I've got a few more that's ready to, I think they're about ready to be able to show their face and talk to people, special operations. All right. But other than that, the way you prove it is you go read and study the laws. Those are all public. You can know the law, the executive orders, the proclamations, the treaties. But when you see someone out there taking 45-47 and putting a term like Presidential Emergency Action Documents, those two are not proprietary. No, it's like Shark Tank here. Those aren't proprietary. But listen how they're trying to talk about them. It sounds identical to me in my book. Even though they may butcher it, they may even butcher what they're saying. But when you're trying to be the weaver of those, when there's already a #1 best-selling book, so it kind of does. It puts me in my own category. It puts me in those books. They're the only books in their category. And if someone tried to write a book now, guess what they're doing? They may not be stealing, but they are copying. And this is how we prevent the swamp. You want the originators of these books, which they're all passed on now, but you want people who can write the new volumes. This is volume 1, which would have been, I think, in the 1880s or 90s, somewhere in there. Let's see if it tells right here. I should know that right off the bat, but there's so many volumes of these. But one of them was 1914, but still, you want the originator who thinks of this on the front, who can weave it all together, whether it's brand new or it's days of old. You want someone that can go in here and go, just like law, and go, okay, well, we're dealing with this, like this chapter here, sentence and punishment, voting and deliberation. Right? If we were dealing with voting and deliberation of the sentence and punishment of a courts-martial, then you want someone who knows that, who can go to that, and then go, okay, this is where the intellectual comes in. Well, you know, it says we're article and articles of war, blah, 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 blah. Then you want someone who has studied the articles of war, which are separate than this, and then can weave that together. But when it outlines a strategic plan versus an opinion or a thought, when it's a strategic plan and there's a blueprint where you can actually, like if you were looking in an aircraft looking down and you can see a beginning and the end, like my books do, that's even more proprietary because I wove all these things together with the public information, with the public knowledge. But if you didn't have me there, guess what you wouldn't have? You would have laws, you'd have orders, you'd have proclamations, you'd have treaties. But without me, none of these other podcasters would have had the blueprint and the weave. So I am the originator. As much as that sounds so braggadocious, I'm the one who wrote the whole blueprint of the 45-47. And then timestamps don't lie. February the 18th, 2023, at Trump International. President Trump present there. It's even funny because a friend of mine was laughing because I had a knife like cowboys do. I had a knife right here that clips on. I'm standing there beside the President of the United States of America, the most popular man on the planet in the world, in world history, with a knife right here. You don't think they don't know who I am? You don't think that they don't have a clue what my background is? You don't think that? Come on, people. So you have to get strong out there and realize what fight we're in. Your fight's going to begin when we go back to a full constitutional government. When the laws show we're out of a partial continuity government, we go right back into a constitutional. You're going to know about it. They're going to unveil all that. But when we get to that point, when it's ready to hand the power back to the people, that's when your fight begins. And you're going to have to prevent fools like all these fools out there who are claiming my work and then telling you stuff. This one recently says, oh, well, told one of their followers, said, you can go look on my Instagram. I've been knowing since 2016. That proves they're a liar right there. None of this stuff was invoked in 2016. So there's no way you could have known in 2016 because the laws and the orders of President Trump didn't start until 2017. This stuff is so freaking humorous. They sit there and blatantly lie and get caught. And then when you call them out, they delete your comments or block you, and then they just mislead all those people. And it's not worth a lawsuit, because that's even stupid for the fact that money spent. But it's better to publicly shame these people. Show them to you. Show them your... See, because if you take me, it's publicity. Someone says, oh, Derek Johnson stole something from me. And then people go, well, he wrote the #1 best-selling books, time sent back here, and you didn't start saying your stuff until 24, 25, 20. Publicity, baby! Right? So I'm the originator. It can't be argued. It's timestamps don't lie, contracts don't lie, photos don't lie, and then status don't lie. Retired military, got a official badge, and You're going to see a lot more of that in the future. Usage of my DOW thing. So you're going to see a lot more of that here in the near future. We're working on a lot of new assignments, which are really exciting for people. So that's what you need to know. So public information, you can know it. Sure, you're supposed to. You're supposed to read the laws. You're supposed to read the orders. You're supposed to read all the different kind of proclamations, treaties, a bill that's being presented. You're supposed to read that. But intellectual property is where someone like me goes, hey, it's not just a law being passed. This law goes with this law and this order and this proclamation, and this is a blueprint of a military government. That's what makes me unique. That's what makes me different. That's what makes me the originator and the only one. And I'll forever be in history the first. I may not be the last, but I'll always be the first. And timestamps don't lie. These books right here, this one right here, the first one, part 1, went into publication December 2023. But it stems from my documents that are on the documents.info, still live to this day. You can go over there. It's dated because I didn't update them anymore. After 2022, I didn't update them. But I published those for my friends and family in January 2021. A good bit of that up to that point. Because you couldn't have what you can't have. I couldn't already have 24, 25, 26 because we weren't there yet. All right? So that. So I'm doing my role where I'm supposed to be on the wheel spoke. And if every American will pull your role where you are, quit trying, especially you quote-unquote influencers out there and you quote-unquote podcasters, if you'll do your role where you are and quit trying to make people think you're somebody with some kind of privy information, especially with all you civilians, you have no privy information. There's nobody in the military giving anybody information, ladies and gentlemen. It's not how the military works. For the love of God, and I don't mean that sacrilegiously, but for the love of God and military, please put it through your thick or thin, whatever you got, skulls out there. That is not how the military operates. By the integrity of the military, that is not how we operate. You either know and you're a part of it and you know at your capacity, but even active duty, reserves, and National Guard, they don't have time to do what I'm doing because they're doing their task where they are in their roles. So if every American, where you are, but especially you quote-unquote influencers and quote-unquote podcasters, stay in your lane, know your role, put credit where it's due. You didn't come up with it. You didn't think of it. You're not the originator. You're the deliverer. But you need to deliver the originators, the creators. We're the ones writing these things. And my friends and different people are the ones, not this particular one, but they're the ones who write the publications. They're the ones who write the manuals. And I'll probably be in that position one day because I have the brain and the capacity and the thinking process to write these. You got to put credit where it's due, and you also cannot drain the swamp by replicating it.